Today on FYC, John and the panel discuss who should direct the Justice League. Should the Batman reboot start before Justice League? We'll take questions from the mailbag. I'll be following you on the chat roll and much more. So hang tight. For Your Consideration is coming up right now.
Welcome to AMC's For Your Consideration, movie talk for movie fans. This is episode number 10, originally recorded on Thursday, August the 30th, 2012, at the beautiful AMC Burbank 16 in Burbank, California. Who should direct Justice League? Thanks very much for joining us. Sit back and enjoy the show. Greetings, salutations, everybody. Welcome to this episode of For Your Consideration, movie talk for movie fans. As always, I am your host. My name is John Campy. I'm the senior editor of AMC Movie News. Thanks lots for being with us here today. I'm going to introduce the panel who's here today. First of all, sitting to my immediate right, she's a senior editor over at Rotten Tomatoes. She's several times worn the tomato outfit, I understand, Miss Gray Drake.
Thank you. And what camera is mine? What's going on in this place?
You're that one and that one.
Hey, you. How you doing? Now I know.
And sitting next to Gray, he is the director of Metalocalypse and the upcoming Grimm Fairy Tales, Mr. John Schnepp. John, thanks for being here.
Hey, what's going on?
Metal face. Girls think sexy.
Hey, listen, before we dive into our major subjects today, as always, we're going to catch you up to date on all the happenings in the world of movie news with our news flash. Starting off with this, Brett Ratner's name has surfaced as being one of the directors in the running for Justice League. Now, of course, Brett Ratner is the director of the Rush Hour films. He also did Tower Heist, which I got to tell you, I didn't mind so much. Now, this is causing a lot of controversy online. Some people are very divided about this name. We'll have to see how that pans out. Batman could be rebooting with Justice League as opposed to before. In other words, Batman's appearance in Justice League, the Justice League film, which is currently scheduled for 2015, could be Batman's first new appearance. The new Batman will first appear there. The speculation is he would then go on and do his own Batman films from that point, but Justice League would be the beginning of it. Academy Award nominated actor Ryan Gosling, best known for films like Lars and the Real Girl, Ides of March, which is my personal favorite of his, and Drive, is now a screenwriter and soon-to-be director. A script that he wrote called How to Catch a Monster has been greenlit to go into production with Ryan Gosling himself directing. Now, Christina Hendricks, famous for Mad Men, is set to star in the film. It's a very fantasy, dark noir kind of idea. We'll see how that kind of a North American Pan's Labyrinth.
That's an easy question to answer, by the way. All you have to do is just dangle a little kid over the edge of a bed. Right?
Yeah, blanket.
A Lego feature film is on the way, and the cast has been announced. The producers for the upcoming 3D computer animated adventure, formerly known as Lego, the Piece of Resistance, have officially signed actors Will Arnett, Elizabeth Banks, Chris Pratt, and Morgan Freeman. They will all lead the cast. Now, 21 Jump Street writers and directors, Philip Lord and Christopher Miller, are actually directing the film and have written the script. Now, this is where I think it gets really fascinating. It's a story about a little Lego boy who is unseemingly, you'd think he was some kind of hero, but he's called upon to save the world. And the word is that Batman Lego makes an appearance in the film as well, which could be interesting. Last week, we announced that Hugh Laurie, star of the television series House, had broken off negotiations to appear as the villain in the upcoming RoboCop remake. Well, it didn't take them long to find a replacement. The reports are now in that Michael Keaton has signed on to play Raymond Sellers, the evil and ultra-rich CEO of Omnicorp. Keaton will be joining a cast which includes Joel Kinnaman, Gary Oldman, Samuel L. Jackson, and Jackie Earle Haley. Now, John and Gray, I'm not sure how awkward you find it when you and your best friend fall in love with the same hooker. But Ben Foster is about to find out. Ben Foster, who I think is actually one of the most underrated and underappreciated actors alive today.
He seems cuckoo bananas in real life. He's such a good actor.
Yeah. Star of such films as 30 Days of Night, The Mechanic, and who upstaged Batman, Christian Bale. And in 3:10 to Yuma. When you can do that, that's a pretty good day. He's going to star in a film called Red Light Winter, which is about a couple of college friends. I got a giant fly around me. A couple of college friends who decide to take a trip to the infamous red light district in Amsterdam, fall in love with the same prostitute, and then something goes terribly wrong. I can't imagine when you and your friend fall in love with the same
prostitute dies,
hooker.
they must bury her together and become friends.
Again, it all comes full circle.
Then they get married.
Oh.
In Chinese news, Chinese audiences went out in droves to check out two superhero films that opened at the same time, The Dark Knight Rises, I should say, and The Amazing Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man came out on top, taking in $5.46 million. pushing it over the $700 million mark internationally, which is a lot better than a lot of people thought it would do.
Yeah.
And Batman...
Sony's breathing a sigh of relief.
Oh, yeah. And Batman Rises took in a very respectable $4.5 million, and that is our news flash. So let's get into this, guys. Let's jump back to this whole thing. Okay, so Brett Ratner's name has come up as a possible director. Now,
Ready, Bretts.
we already know that Ben Affleck was approached, and after some all too short deliberation, he decided to turn it down.
He's like, is it about a missing kid? No, I'm out.
Can I be Daredevil?
No,
I can't do it.
that broke my heart that he's not going to be in it. Now, the Wachowski siblings is another name that's come up that they are in the running for this as well and
I
really
love that.
being looked at.
Wachowski siblings. It almost sounds like a kid's book or a Dr. Seuss story or something. The Wachowski siblings, how weird they were. Something.
The pink hair went bobbing down the lane.
And now the name Brett Ratner has surfaced, and I thought we would run down the list of names that we've got that are being talked about as the potential guys who are going to take over this new franchise.
Is it Joss Whedon?
Now, let me say this.
That's right.
Excuse me. Oh, gosh. That was live.
We'll beep it out.
She said
Okay.
chuck 'em. That's
I
what she
did.
said.
Chuck them all.
Chuck 'em.
Now, I'm going to go on record and say this. The Brett Ratner name has come up. Now, Warner Brothers actually likes Ratner. He's
he makes
delivered
money.
from a producer's point of view. He's directed. This fly is not going to leave us alone
Ooh,
all
it's
show.
so
I just
big,
know it.
too. Jeff
just keep-
Goldblum, go away.
I'll just keep my mouth open.
He's brought some success for them. I didn't think XMen 3 was as bad as most people do. Clearly the worst of the franchise.
Yeah, you're in the minority on that one,
But
brother.
I thought just what he did with Kelsey Grammer as Beast brought it to watchability. And that's the best I can say, watchability.
Okay.
I loved Rush Hour 2. I thought Rush Hour 2 was a lot of fun. And surprisingly, I really didn't mind Tower Heist.
No, I didn't
So
either.
there's some logic to the Brett Ratner name, no?
I am...
You take it first.
I will, because in comparison to the other names, I feel like I'm just it's dicey. It's a scary choice. I don't feel like his name and his direction is a slam dunk at all. And for
Oh,
something
no, I don't think anybody can use the term slam dunk with this.
right,
No.
and so for something as big as Justice League, which we're desperately hoping is another Avengers, that I just don't think it's worth the chance. I don't think he's good enough or has the right tone for the movie. It seems like it would turn into like
Yeah, I agree.
crash, boom, bang, suck.
Yeah, he's a little bit. You know what? I mean, he's like a mini Michael Bay. He's not. And
Right.
he also does comedy really well. So X-Men 3 was I know there was a lot of different things. Matthew Vaughn was originally supposed to do it. He bailed when they
Right.
were going to. So they brought him in just literally to like execute the shots.
Yeah.
So he wasn't really so much as a creative director as a more like keep this on budget. We just took another $20 million away. You know, they were constantly taking the budget away. So I can't really blame him for why X-Men 3 sucked. And
Because it also starts with a script, by the way, screenwriters. So I mean,
Yeah.
nobody's ever fully to blame for anything.
So I mean, it's a films are a multiple people thing. So multiple people messed that one up. They had
Right,
the first
yeah.
two that were amazing, and then hey, let's destroy the trilogy.
Yeah, why does anybody ever point fingers at Halle Berry?
Well, I wouldn't exactly
Nobody?
say Halle
Nothing?
Berry.
Nothing.
But you raise a really good point.
Ben Foster was an Angel.
That's
Remember we were
that's the
talking
first
about
thing I
Ben
really
Foster?
noticed
I
him
blame Ben
in.
Foster. No,
No, don't. He'll come after
I
you.
know, with his wings. I think Brett Ratner should make Youngblood first.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Well, no, he's supposed to. They
Right.
announced it like 6 years ago or 2 years ago or something. There's always these announcements. I'm going to do this next. So he should do one superhero film that not a lot of people know about, and it's a Rob Liefeld comic book. So if anyone knows who Rob Liefeld is, they would get a kick out of Brett Ratner directing it. That's just as much as I'm going into it.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, well, this guy's going to be good or this guy's going to suck. It's really hard to. It's like, hey, the Wachowski the siblings could be perfect for it. I mean, they've made a lot of amazing films. I mean, discounting the 2 Matrix sequels, all their other films are really fun, and I can't wait for Cloud
Speed
Atlas.
Racer.
All right, a couple of films. So I'm just saying, the Cloud Atlas, that super long trailer was incredible to
Right.
me. I was like,
I
I
loved
can't
it
wait
too.
to see it.
I loved it too. I think if the Wachowski siblings took it, that it would. I feel like it would be very thinky. Like Speed Racer was weirdly, it was weirdly action adventure-y for them, and that seemed like it was the odd one out. All of the other ones seem really thinky and like, we can't just have a movie where a guy's dodging bullets. It has to be about reality, man.
Right.
And so I think Justice League would get really super serious. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I like your Brett Ratner plan to do Youngblood first. Put him in the kiddie pool, let him splash around a little bit, and then just throw him in the deep end of Justice League.
Well, I mean, they don't have time for something like that,
you're
obviously.
right.
But I think, John, you raise a really interesting point that when talking about the Brett Ratner and this X-Men 3 situation, a lot of people don't take in consideration was that there are some mitigating circumstances here. Matthew Vaughn was supposed to direct that. Right up to the last minute, it was Matthew Vaughn's film. And, I mean, really, in many ways, Brett Ratner is kind of forced to sweep in and save the production.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, need to keep that in mind when judging his performance in directing the film. But there are some other names that have been brought up and that are being discussed. One interesting name is Zack Snyder. Now, in many ways, this makes sense. He is directing Superman, or Man of Steel, I should say. He has a very long working relationship with Warner Brothers. 300, I think, was spectacular.
We're not going to talk about sparkly underpants girls with samurai swords.
Well,
movie.
now, but
Right.
let's look at this whole thing
Sucker
here.
punch.
The reality is that it came close to pulling Zack Snyder off of Man of Steel before production started because Watchmen was, from Warner Brothers' point of view, a little bit of a disappointment. Sucker Punch was beyond a disaster. And then that was what they were then leading into Man of Steel with. They were getting ready for production on that. Personally, Zack Snyder, I love Zack Snyder. I think he's great despite the fact of how bad Sucker Punch was. I think he's marvelous. But I got a feeling that if for Warner Brothers to seriously consider Zack Snyder, I think they were going to all want to sit down and see a finished product of Man of Steel and go, okay, you knocked it out of the park with this. We can make you part of the serious discussion of this. If Zack Snyder even wants to do it. But I don't know what you guys think about Zack Snyder taking on something like this.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, the script has to be incredible. So where I'm kind of wavery about it is if it's a Nolan script for Justice League, because I don't know. I'm one of the haters on Dark Knight Rises.
Right.
I'll just say I thought it was boring and anticlimactic and not go into it further. But
Bold move.
yeah. But and I loved Dark Knight. It was like one of my all-time favorite.
Well,
Batman
yeah,
films,
because you're an
so.
intelligent human being.
But yeah, we can't dissect Dark Knight Rises because it would take me a couple hours, at least 2 hours of the 2 hours they spent making Batman become Batman twice in that movie.
And then you would put me to
Yeah,
sleep.
I know. I'd be like,
unfortunately.
and then he's in this weird little prison, and people fixing his back with a karate punch. So anyway, the problem that I foresee with Man of Steel is it's a little bit more of like that, like Superman, like high, like thumbing it around the planet, like kind of like working on a boat ship, and then he's at a little drugstore, and he's hanging out, growing
Working
a beard.
the counter at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, growing a beard, and like.
I'm
kinda
just
hanging
really
out.
intrigued by this thing you call a boat ship.
Yeah, the boat ships. They have them out near the waters.
Yeah, boy, I am not sitting next to a roughneck, am I?
Boat ships.
A boat ship,
Guys,
gentlemen.
you know what a boat ship is.
Hey, can I have some more of that there waves there,
It's
sir?
the thing that Kal-El hangs out
Chris?
on. That's what his father Jor-El calls it. Your boat ships on Earth. Earth, your boat ships. My man-child must stand on one and harvest the fishes.
Soon you will have your own fortress of solitude.
Right,
You
but
guys
that
are
will be at
crazy.
least an hour and a half into the film. Then you shall put on the strange armored garb of your father, Russell Crowe, which will have a small mini 5-minute sequence of battle on Krypton.
Is this Jor-El or Chloe Sevigny that we're imitating? I
You
forgot.
guys are crazy.
Both. It's kind of a merger.
The chat roll's going crazy over the idea of Brad Bird directing it.
Wow.
Go chat room.
That was from Chris.
Brad
Thank
Bird
you,
is the
Chris.
best suggestion, period.
What did Chris say?
Chris, that was his suggestion, was to see, he said, I'd like to see Brad Bird direct the Justice League, and pretty much everyone agreed.
Wow.
That is the best.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Really
I'm
nicely
in.
done.
I have
Warner
a-
Brothers, get on it.
I have a better idea. Well, it's probably not
bold.
better, but I'll bring that up a little bit later. Let's move on to the next
Oh,
name.
I'm the host. My
The
idea's
one of the other
better.
guys that's being brought up as a possibility here, and I want to get to Brad Bird, and we'll talk about him in a second, is Ruben Fleischer. Director of
Zombieland.
30 Minutes or Less, Zombieland, and
30
the
Minutes or Less.
upcoming Gangster Squad, which looks good, which was penned by Will Beall, who also penned the Justice League script that they're working with right now.
That's why he's in the mix.
I'll be honest with you. Don't like it.
Don't like that idea?
Don't like the idea. I mean, I like him. I'll see his films. I know a lot of people didn't love 30 Minutes or Less, but
Nope.
I was entertained when I watched it. I had some good giggles.
Had you ingested a substance beforehand?
I'll probably never
Like
watch it again.
jujubes.
But I enjoyed it. Zombieland was great. Gangster Squad, to me, looks like it's going to be phenomenal. So I like him, but I haven't seen... Look, even in Zombieland, when they could have added elements of excitement, or they tried to add elements of excitement. That's where Zombieland failed to me. It's like, okay, this is a funny film. This is engaging. I liked it very much. The parts that were weak were the parts where they were trying to make it exciting. And so if you're going to a Justice League, I don't know if he's the guy to do something like that. Am I
Once
way
again,
off base?
Script-wise, if they have a script that's amazing, and he can visualize quite well, he can direct the actors. I love Zombieland.
I actually loved it too,
Yeah.
and I think
So did I.
the trick is that Justice League is going, I mean, obviously has the same problem that Avengers could have had, which is you have to juggle a lot of different people and you have to give them equal important screen time. And I don't know that Zombieland was that great in that respect. And so we're just basing it off of that movie, which is the one of his that I liked so far. Then
Right,
I'm
you
gonna
can't
say,
really have Superman hijacking or hitchhiking, along thing, and then he's picks up Batman, because that would be Zombieland. And they pull up and there's Wonder Woman and
Totally.
Catwoman we're hanging out in a mall, we're trying to fight these villains, but we don't know if we could trust you.
And Cameron Crowe directs it and has a soundtrack to go
And
with
then
the road movie.
Bill Murray shows up.
Yeah, as the
Inexplicably.
Joker. The Bizarro Joker. He's like a hybrid of a Superman Batman villain.
What about Jim Jarmusch? Anybody? Of
To
Justice
direct
League?
Justice League?
Come on.
He's fantastic.
What is wrong with you, Hollywood? Have some balls.
All right, how about this name? Another name that's seriously being mentioned that he's on their short list is McGee. Now, let's give credit where credit's due before we get into the critical side of this.
I sense a McGee hater over there.
I thought
no, it's just
the
indigestion.
first Charlie's Angels was a lot of fun.
It was
I
fun.
enjoyed the first Charlie's Angels.
I like the second one, too.
I didn't so much, but he's also responsible for probably my absolute favorite show on air right now, which is Supernatural. And so
Right.
I give him
Okay.
full props for that. He ruined Terminator, but
Ruined Terminator Salvation.
not that it wasn't already ruined before it got to him.
Well,
so
and
let's
we
not-
already had this conversation because it takes a lot of people.
But what do we think of a guy like McGee for a Justice League specifically?
Well, I think if you want, I mean, the one thing about him that you could definitely say is that he's stylized all the time.
Yeah.
And so he would create a Justice League that definitely had a unique feel to it. And I think that you could probably even just look at it and be like, oh, this is definitely McGee.
I'll say this about McGee. I think he's a good director, and he was originally on Superman when they were doing Superman. I think it was Superman Lives, after Tim Burton wasn't doing
That's
it.
right.
And he did a full animatics pass, 3D previs, which I think, I'll say this right out, I think a lot of that got turned into what we're going to see in Man of Steel, because there's a fight scene in Metropolis where Superman is fighting Zod, and they're both lasering each other's, and buildings are melting, and it's it would have been one of the most incredible action sequences that any Superman movie ever had if McGee was allowed to direct it. His outfit that he had designed is very similar to the one that Man of Steel has got. So there's a lot of interesting things because I got really obsessed with Superman Lives, because I was like, that would have been the weirdest film ever made. Nicolas Cage wearing some kind of rainbow Superman robot outfit with weird robot dogs attacking him, a floating Brainiac ship. I've got all the art. I've
Polar bear
anytime-
bodyguards.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like
no, that was-
angels singing when
I
you're
know.
talking.
But that stuff was cut out. I'm
Right.
just saying it would have been the weirdest Superman, and it would have come out 10 years ago, and we could be talking about it right now. Remember that weird Tim Burton Superman? Instead of Dark Shadows and other weird, bad Tim Burton movies, we would have been at least we had that weird Superman Tim Burton.
Yeah,
when he was
we
able to get
shared that.
creative and crazy.
Thank you, Nicolas Cage.
I know,
In an
I-
alternate universe.
I know. So in an alternate universe, it happened. But anyway, I think McGee is actually a good choice.
Well,
Really?
you
Okay.
have, with that, you have actually changed my opinion.
And here's the thing about McGee.
I withdraw my indigestion noise.
McGee, even though there are a number of films, he just did that one with Chris Pine and Tom Hardy. This Means War.
This
Right, I
Means
didn't see
War.
that.
He
did
so
that?
once again.
Oh,
not a-
indigestion noise is back. Oh no.
So once again, McGee is also a name I don't mind. I wouldn't get upset if I heard he got it. But once again, not a slam dunk name. I don't think.
Can I just throw one into the
Sure.
ring here? Werner Herzog. Werner Herzog, Justice League. Subtitled Ice Storm.
Then Superman will sit and contemplate
Right.
nihilism.
Batman is reading off a list of troll names. He is on the 1900th troll name, Vadglorg. That is when the baby Robin starts crying out.
I guess my favorite Werner Herzog story though ever is that it's basically pop legend now. For those of you who don't know, director Werner Herzog, he's awesome. Remember that what was the name of that poker movie he was in with Woody Harrelson?
Oh, Christ. I don't even remember.
Dennis, do you remember the name of that movie? Well, it's just great. It's a real huge ensemble cast, and Werner Herzog's actually in it. He plays this poker player, and it's the prizes for millions and millions and millions. And it's fake documentary style, and they're talking to Werner Herzog, and he's petting a rabbit. He goes, the way I get my energy is every day I kill one living thing. And it's like,
Oh, he's awesome.
that's Werner Herzog.
Oh my God, him and Sharon Stone.
Yep.
Same thing.
And do you remember that one time he was being interviewed for something, Werner Herzog, my favorite Herzog story. He's being interviewed for something, and he gets shot during the interview and keeps
Really?
doing the
Shot?
interview.
Well, that's right. I think it was for the Nicolas Cage Bad Lieutenant remake.
It was either that
Yeah.
or some documentary about the forest he was doing about the jungle
cave?
is pain and rape.
No, my Best Fiend is one of my favorite documentaries, all about him and Klaus Kinski. If no one's seen it, My Best Fiend, see it. It is amazing. Just hearing Werner Herzog, the raving. Klaus Kinski he is raving, would not be quiet, driving me insane. 500 miles in every direction from nowhere. I wanted to kill him.
And there's a documentary where he literally eats his shoe.
Really?
Yeah. It's amazing.
Werner Herzog is
The guy's
the man.
the best dude on the planet.
Unbelievable.
Okay, we gotta move on. We gotta move on to the next name here.
Sad I
Justice
didn't wear
League,
my
Werner
Herzog
Herzog.
shirt.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
Here are a couple of names that I want to throw in there that have not officially been mentioned. But I got to imagine this first one has at least gotten some consideration. George Miller. Of course, director of Witches of Eastwick, which I love, the Mad Max, Happy Feet, and Babe Pig in the City.
Yeah,
but
so
he was-
basically, if this was 1992, it'd be a great choice.
But he was supposed to direct the Justice League about 5 or 6 years ago. The one where they had Armie Hammer already cast, ready to play Bruce Wayne / Batman. He was already to go.
Armie Hammer is hello nurse.
And they have all the costumes made, and that's another film that they have. They actually, in a vault somewhere, they have like a 90-minute previs animatic, which you can watch.
The
Wow.
treasures
There's
in
like
Hollywood.
those things that people have. Like I remember seeing that Superman, the boring Superman movie that came out. There was that whole sequence where he was in like a weird silver suit floating around Krypton for like 20 minutes, and then Warner Brothers was like, that never happened. So then you never heard anything about it, and then a pal of mine showed it to me, and I was like freaked out. I was like, what? I thought this didn't happen. Yeah, it's totally done. They spent like $10 million on it. They just don't. What they said that never happened. I know, but I saw a picture of it in that art book. Yeah, I know, but they're saying it never
Oh
happened.
my God, they're like
And
Holocaust
then it
deniers.
came out last year. They finally put it out like, well, whatever. Maybe we can, sell a few more Superman Returns movies, including this strange sequence where he floats around Krypton silently. So it came out, but I remember seeing it a few years ago, and I was like, why didn't they put that in? That was like way better than all the other scenes.
Than
that was-
everything
Yeah,
in
than
that
everything else. So
Bastard.
All right, here are a couple other names. This came up because I was having a discussion on Facebook with a bunch of readers, and somebody threw out the name, and I think this is very interesting. Never would have thought of this. Catherine Bigelow
Wow.
to direct a Justice League. Now, you're talking, it's obviously directed The Hurt Locker.
Strange
the,
Days,
Point Break.
Point Break. Yeah.
Boom. Case closed.
but can bring up that darker, very capable, obviously, of that darker and serious tone that Christopher Nolan has kind of brought into the DC universe.
I'd like that to go away. Just straight up, I'll say that. I don't need any
I
more
remember, yeah,
darker
you
and
mentioned
serious
that.
tones. I'd like Justice League. If they're going to emulate Avengers, then emulate it.
I want the Darth Vader helmet coming up out of the swamp. Meanwhile,
Right.
what is it? The Legion of Doom.
that you cannot understand. Right. I am Lex Luthor.
By the way, could we just point out that I don't think I've heard Tom Hardy actually speak a word in 2012. Like he's
Oh, I
first-
just watched Lawless last night.
and every single line from him is and boy can he grunt. Okay, like great performances. However, I
We were
would like
talking
to say
before-
hear him say something.
I loved his Bane. I loved his weird, like Sean Connery, strange. I'm stuck in Iceland under a muffler. It was made me laugh. At first, I was angry. I was like, I can't understand what he's saying, and then I was like, it's awesome. But I can't do a good version of it. My
No, that
friends
was
do it
dead
all the
on.
time, and I always laugh whenever they do it.
My wife says he sounds like a gay English butler. And that's what Bane sounded like. But
I feel like they're very eloquent. Thank you. Yes. Would you like some more tea?
Yeah, that's where he got his accent after spending all that time in that weird hole where no one spoke English. That's where he picked that up.
that's where he
right?
gets it. That's
Yeah.
naturally where he
Makes
got his
total
English
sense.
accent. Let's move on from Catherine Bigelow to a name I want to throw out there. Nobody has mentioned it. And look, for the record, I hate it whenever you get into discussions about who should direct something, because there's a roster of about
Which is
4
why we're doing
names.
it right now.
There's a roster of 4 names that everybody mentions for every single movie, and I
Okay.
hate it when that happens. But I think in this particular situation, it applies. Peter Jackson, and here's why. Hear me out.
Bombshell.
Huge, epic scale ensemble casts. A Justice League movie you think might be pretty heavy on the visual effects elements has Weta to bring along with him. He's working with Warner Brothers right now on The Hobbit, who just greenlit him splitting this tiny book into 3 films.
Right.
So pretty much anything you want to do, dude, you just do it. That's kind of the attitude they have towards Peter.
True.
He's going to be wrapped. Hobbit, by the time they're ready to get into any kind of production on Justice League.
They could reuse the Shire for Batman's Batcave. Batman's coming out of this little circular tomb, like, hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah,
All these
yeah,
hobbits
yeah.
hanging around.
I feel like getting Batman to stoop over as he exits a door makes him really relatable.
Yeah.
Really relatable.
I think stooping is good.
But what would
right?
you think about Peter Jackson doing
If he
something
did
like this?
3 at the same time, that's the only way I would even agree. Like, this is just like, we're all fantasy football or whatever. It's like, what about Peter Jackson? 3 at the same time? Totally. If he can do all 3 in 1 year, and then we can have... why don't they just get that... That's my biggest complaint about every superhero movie that comes out. Just shoot 3. They're always like, well, we have to see how the first one does.
They
All
don't.
right, I know. Well, Ghost Rider, I guess, there's exceptions. Daredevil, there's exceptions. But most of the time, if you shot 3, it'd cost like maybe another $10 million.
You'd save a lot of money.
You'd save so much
doing
money.
all
Just
3 at the
release
same
one
time.
every year. Maybe the first one
It's like
sucked.
Costco shopping of filmmaking.
Yeah, the second
Yes.
one could be awesome. The third one can blow again, but then you have your trilogy.
And you also have your buckets full of money, which is what they make even when one of these movies sucks.
yeah, I mean, they make TV shows, and there's like, granted, Breaking Bad, they do this half-season thing, which is driving me crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
I'm like
horrible.
literally going insane.
Remember,
like, I know
Battlestar
there's one
Galactica would
episode-
do that, and you'd have to wait
I know.
6 months for the second half of the season.
Super annoying, and that's like, isn't it a new thing? They're like, we're splitting the season. That never used to happen. You get 22 episodes.
Well, that's
Like, what's
because
the
you
splitting season.
But like
thing?
with shows like with these types of shows, a season is like 13 episodes.
It's
right,
true.
And
it's
so
even
they
more
stretch
chimpy and
it
like,
out.
here's 7 episodes of Walking Dead. You're like, come on.
Are they trying? Is it? I mean, it has to be, but because of the way production is scheduled. But is it just that they want? I feel
milking? They are milking.
Milking,
It has
stretching
nothing
it
to
out.
do with production.
I feel
They're
like it's
milking
just
it.
because they want to be more like a Great Britain schedule, which is stupid because this is America and we're Americans. We
don't need
deserve
6
more.
episodes.
We deserve more.
But
than-
getting back to Peter Jackson,
Peter
that's
Jackson.
what I was thinking,
3 movies.
You know what? I laughed when you first said that. I was like, aha, wait a minute.
No, he's one of the guys who can do it. 'cause
Shoot
he's already
Justice
done
League
it.
1, 2, and 3
Yeah.
back to back to back, and then go into your individual
Well,
films.
you're actually you've brought up an excellent point because something that he and the writing team, Fran and Philippa, I don't know if they would write it, but something that they're always really concerned with is shocking and developing characters in stories like this. And so that's why with the Lord of the Rings movies, and I'm sure with The Hobbit too, you're actually going to care about all these people. And that's the key to making Justice League succeed in a post-Avengers world. We have to care. And they can't get a Wonder Woman movie off the ground. They can't do any of these people by themselves, except Superman.
Yet.
So they need people who can really make us give a crap about all of them.
Plus, if they
Maybe it's
weave
them.
out the first trilogy, then they could like throw the Flash and Wonder Woman and the newer version of Green Lantern, all these, and they could throw those individual movies in between the releases of 1, 2, and 3. If they were smart about it, they'd shoot all 3 at the same time. Then like every year, like here's the new Flash, and so you don't have to like give an origin movie, like an origin of how did the Flash become super fast or any of that stuff in the Justice League movie. You can like give that to another director, like, yo, McGee, you're in charge of the Flash. Yo, Ruben, you got Green Lantern or whatever. You know what I mean? And, yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think that if like how Joss is doing it is he's like, getting overall like throwing a web over all the characters and like, here, let's start to make them all make sense within this universe. I think that's kind of a cool way to do it.
That segues us very nicely into the second topic that we've got here today, which is still a Justice League centric topic. The rumor came out that seems to be pretty much substantiated that the first appearance of the new Batman will not be in his own rebooted film, but rather will be in Justice League 2015, which raises an interesting question, kind of going to what John was just talking about. DC and Warner Brothers seem to be taking a completely opposite approach to this than Marvel did. Marvel's strategy was establish all the characters first, then launch into your superhero team movie.
Just like how the comic books were.
Right.
Now, in theory, you look at the success of the Avengers and you think, well, goodness gracious, that clearly worked. But I'm actually going to make the argument here, although I would not put money on this. I'm going to make an argument here that DC, in doing a team movie first, might actually be taking the correct approach. And here's why. When we looked at films like, I said for a very, very long time before Avengers came out, that Avengers is not going to do that great. I said it's going to make a lot of money, but it's not going to do that well because Thor, internationally, $449 million. Captain America, internationally, $368 million. Iron Man 1 and 2, $585, $623 million, respectively. I said, it's the same audience that's going to all of these. So you're probably looking at a $600 to maybe $700 million international film because it's the same audience. $1.4 billion later, I'm eating crow and looking pretty stupid. But it
No,
but
honey.
but
No.
but it brings up the thing that people and audiences were more concerned about the whole as opposed to the sum of its parts. Or I'm reverse,
sure.
yeah. That they were more concerned about the team film than they were about the individual films.
Well, I also think it's like audiences in general are like becoming like, you know, fractured by, you know, Netflix and VOD and like all these other like Xbox, you know, so the going to a theater is not as big as it used to be.
Not at all.
So a lot of people like, I didn't see Captain America, but this is Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. So then they go, I think it was some people saw Thor, some people saw Iron Man, some people saw Captain America, and nobody saw the Hulk.
Let's not over like Captain America was an unquestionable smash success with $368 million worldwide. Thor is an
And a good
unquestionable huge hit with $450 billion. I mean, so these were all huge, but then you get to the team, and you got tons of people who didn't see any of those films going to see it. Couldn't an argument be made then that it would behoove Warner Brothers and DC to do a team film first that actually then introduces, and this is where I think your idea of doing three at once is brilliant, to introduce the audiences to these characters, to the Wonder Womans, to the Green Lanterns, to the Flash, to whoever else they may want to throw in there. Do 3 films, get the audience to care about them, and then send them off in their own individual projects. I think that might work better for them. Not that Marvel did it wrong, but in Warner Brothers' case, I think that they might actually be taking the really correct and smart approach.
Are they talking about 2014 or 2015?
I think 2015.
I think the thing about Batman being reintroduced in the Justice League, I think they should do a Batman and just I mean, how long is it really going to take to write a good Batman script? People write Batman scripts every month in the comic book world.
Yeah.
People make TV shows all the time. There's like, we just delivered like 9 hours of programming. It's like sometimes the movie schedule thing bums me out a little bit. It's like, let's get on it. I think someone can bust out an amazing Batman script. Like, there's only like 5,000 comics you can like look at and like read and like, what if we combine these 3 things? Or there's a new spin on Batman. No more of this grim, boring Nolan stuff. It's like, try something different. I mean, how about
Batman's one of the characters you can get away with because you don't need him to first be puffed up by Justice League.
Exactly. And I think reintroducing him in a new way. I mean, keep it dark, keep it grim, but just make it like a bunch of different comic books. You can combine a whole slew of like Grant Morrison, Alan Moore, Frank Miller. You can include all these different writers who had amazing takes on Batman, put those together, put together a different villain set. I think it's the simplest thing you could possibly do. And it should come out in 2014, and he should be part of it. If they're going to bring the Man of Steel in for Justice League, then they should everybody at Warner Brothers in charge of their superhero division should be like, all right, let's get Batman set up, and like Superman will be part of that universe.
Which brings up my one overriding fear, which is the main reason I hated the idea of the George Miller Justice League 5 years ago or so. Warner Brothers had the idea when George Miller was going to do it that they were going to have Armie Hammer be Batman at the same time that Christian Bale was in his own Batman films.
Right.
I still live in a little bit of fear with the new Man of Steel and with that Warner Brothers there's nothing substantial to make. I've seen no proof of this, but my fear is that Warner Brothers will adopt the same philosophy and go, well, you know what? We can have a different Superman and Batman in a Justice League universe while we're still running a Superman series on its own and a Batman series with different actors in different universes. I don't want that to happen. I mean, that would be the wrong move.
Here's where you need to use The Secret and envision the end that you want to happen. Okay, it's on Oprah.com. Look it up. And because it would behoove them to do something, I think, that is coherent. So I think their idea about starting with the Justice League as a whole, I think that it's kind of 6 1/2 of the other, because the reason that people get excited about these is because it's literally like 6 times the superhero movie as any other movie. Kind of like what you were saying, like everyone's in the movie, so everyone's going to go. Something else that they really capitalized on in that script was that Joss Whedon made a movie that everybody wanted to see. It was funny. It had chicks in it. It's like it had a lot of action.
Thor fighting the Hulk, something I wanted to see since I was 4.
Yeah,
exactly.
And Thor trying to lift, or the Hulk trying to lift Thor's hammer.
Awesome.
I've said going there.
I
One
was
thing
like
I want
a
to
little
see.
kid. I couldn't rip the smile off my face for 2.5 hours.
Exactly.
It was incredible.
And it was so satisfying on a real fan level. That's what they have to capture. It doesn't matter if they start with Justice League or start with the single characters. The script has to be spectacular.
Side note: Ryan Reynolds is Green Lantern in this new Justice League. What do you guys think?
I would
yes.
love that.
I like it because I said this in a previous episode. There are many problems with the Green Lantern film. I do not believe that Ryan Reynolds was one of the problems.
I agree. Leave Ryan Reynolds
Ryan
alone.
Reynolds, Green Lantern.
Okay, listen, we got to take a break here for a second. We'll come back in just a moment. I want to remind all you guys that the new horror film, The Possession, opens in AMC theaters everywhere this weekend. This week, our very own Jennings Roth Cornett had a chance to go down and sit down and talk with 2 stars of the film, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, speaking of Supernatural,
Comedian.
and Natasha Callis. Here's that interview. Check it out. We'll be right back.
Basically, as we've just been saying, this entire story rests on the dynamic between the two of you. This is not new information. We have to believe that you're going to go to all lengths to save your daughter. We have to believe that you are more than worth saving and also completely overcome by evil momentarily. So can you talk about working together and creating that dynamic? Because it worked.
For me, it was the best part of the movie. I mean, I think, I think we really like each other, for one. And I think kind of my job was to have Natasha trust me, because a lot of it is because she's young and this is her really first big role, and we asked a tremendous amount from her. So I think more than anything for me it was about being there for her, and she went with that, thank God. And then Ole let us do our thing. He saw very early on that we had a really great special kind of a bond and relationship, and allowed that to kind of play out in front of the camera and let us do stuff that wasn't even scripted. And in some cases that made the movie. And I think those are the scenes that really kind of sell what you stated at the beginning of that question.
You also have to obviously tap into a lot of fear for this, which even as an audience member, it's a strange thing to enjoy. So I have to think it's even more odd for you as actors. Do you have to, you coined this phrase, which was don't mock the box.
Don't mock the box. Yeah.
So do you have to kind of believe in this reality a little bit?
Well, I mean, it's based on a true story, and then we were able to, see exactly what I'm sure you saw before you saw the movie or prepared for this interview, was to go online and read the original article and see what the eBay transaction and what has happened, and that stuff is scary. I'm not a big believer in any of this, but I'm also not a big believer because it's never happened to me, and I'm not going to tempt fate. They had asked Natasha and I and the rest of the cast, when we were getting ready for pre-production, if we'd be interested in having this box come and make an appearance, the real box.
No!
Thanks.
Yeah, was your answer immediately? Thank you, no.
Yeah, it's thanks, but no thanks.
No, we'll act that part.
Yeah, exactly.
But weird things did happen, didn't they? Mm-hmm. What were some of those things? What happened?
Well, just really weird, unexplainable stuff, like light bulbs exploding. And we were in a closed studio, so no doors, no air conditioning, nothing. And then all of a sudden, a cold gust of, air would move through, and we'd be like, just stuff that is unexplainable and not right. And then there was also, we were in where all of the props were in a warehouse, and about a few days after shooting, they all burnt down into ashes, and I think the Vancouver police got onto it, and they don't know what's happened.
It wasn't arson, it wasn't an electrical fire, it started from within, and that's all I'll say about it.
Yeah, that's the moment that the house says get out and I pack my bags.
Yeah, that's right.
For horror fans, what do you think the one most terrifying element of this film is?
For me personally, and I'm gonna talk to the older audience members. I think what's scary is it's a throwback film, for one. The movies that I think people of my generation grew up with that really scared the living daylights out of us, and also a parent's concern for their child. If something going wrong that's unexplainable. I can't think of anything more terrifying. Yeah. And now I'm going to let you talk to all the other people.
All the other people. Well, I think really it's the fear of the unknown. That's what scares me, and really not knowing what you're getting into. And Emily, she bought this box because she was connected with it, eerie feeling, but she bought it and she became obsessed with it, and she didn't know what she was getting herself into, and she didn't know that a malicious demon lived inside. So, it's her journey to keep this thing contained, but it's slowly devouring her. So I think it's really going to scare everybody because they really can connect with the characters at the beginning of the film and relate to them and really feel for them. And then when everything starts happening, they'll be really scared.
And we are back. Hey, folks, listen, just going to remind you that, once again, The Possession opens at AMC Theaters everywhere. You can buy your tickets for it right now by going to www.amctheaters.com. Well, it is that time again, folks, for us to go to the mailbag. By the way, we invite you.
That time.
You can email us 24/7 at fycpodcastshow@gmail.com. We'll pick out a bunch of emails and read them on air and address your questions.
And pictures. Send your pictures.
Gray always wants pictures.
Thank you.
Cell
phone cameras are
Cannon's got a
fine.
Our picked out back there. Cannon, what do we have in the mailbag?
We have quite a bit of mail today, so I'm really excited to see what everybody's talking about. Our first mail is from Amanda Baker. She says, I just got started watching this show, and I love it. You've covered my want-to-sees, and why don't they make an Incredibles sequels?
Damn right.
That would be awesome. I've heard something about the script of the upcoming reboot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had been leaked. Awesome, by the way. What I heard was in the script made me I can't describe it, but I'm not happy. Do you think it was a fake script to see how the public would react, or was it the real thing? I hope it was fake. I don't want the turtles ruined.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know what Amanda's talking about,
I don't.
Michael Bay's company had signed up and was going to be producing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, as far as I want another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I want the original black and white Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not the Cowabunga Dude, Let's Eat Some Pizza Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Black and white? Like back in
like the
you mean
original
the
comic
1955
strips.
version?
No, like the original just black and white comic strips where they were very, to go to Christopher Nolan, they were very Christopher Nolan Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh.
Well, even the art style was it was like a Ronin Frank Miller knockoff the cover. It was like It was like done in that kind of scratchy.
Now, a rumor then got out really shortly after Michael Bay announced they were getting ready for pre-production and everything, that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were going to be aliens.
No.
Which got a lot of people very, very pissed off. Shortly after that, it got announced that the project was going on hiatus. Now, we don't know if it's a permanent
After
hiatus.
The anger.
It's because actually voice talent Robbie Rist stormed the studio.
But then apparently the script got leaked. Now, we don't know 100% sure that this is the official script, but it lines up. And in that script, a couple of things that were included was that there's a character from a military outfit called Colonel Shredder. And his military
and he's not
team...
a rat?
Yeah. And his military team, or not a metal-wearing ninja, and his military team, can you guess the name of the troop? The Foot. Which is, of course, in the comics supposed to be the actual ninjas with Shredder. Now, also, Casey Jones and April O'Neil in this script are teenage sweethearts. And they're high schoolers. They're high schooler teenage
she's not
sweethearts.
even wearing a yellow jumpsuit.
Probably not. And,
I'm furious.
And Casey is described as the film's protagonist in the script.
She's wearing a pink jumpsuit with pizza on her butt, written out. Right?
Now, also, Casey and the Turtles eventually go to this place called Dimension X. This is in the script.
I love Dimension X.
Where they discover that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are actually part of an alien race, which I thought they were teenage mutant ninja turtles, but apparently they're an alien race.
Space Turtles coming in 2013. It's like Gamera. They all like flying around. 5 of them. They shoot ninjas out of their little fire holes. Yeah. We have like 5,000 ninjas inside of each of the space turtles. And we got 5 of them. One's called Michelangelo for no reason. It's Space Turtles. This is a reimagining. I'm totally into it, guys. Let's see it.
You're making me nauseated.
I know Michael Bay takes a lot of heat, and a lot of the heat he takes is justified. I still count myself as a Michael Bay fan in general.
I watch his movies like a jerk.
I love The Rock.
The Rock is
good movie.
awesome.
You know what? Armageddon, I'm sorry,
You
is
guys
a
are
guilty
talking about
pleasure
Dwayne
of mine.
Johnson, right?
I love those pecs.
Yeah. No,
That
the
eyebrow?
movie The Rock is incredible. When people diss Michael Bay, I was like, "Do you see The Rock?" They're like, "Oh yeah, he made that." That's right. Shut up.
One of the
It's
first
like a
movies
sit-down movie.
edited on Avid.
Really?
Yeah.
That's some good trivia.
Yeah, actually, what's so great about it is that the first cut that they showed to people, the audiences were basically like, I have no idea what this movie's about, because they were so excited about nonlinear editing. They just cut everything. It was like friggin' Oliver Stone in Any Given Sunday. It was just like,
Right. Look, I can move things around.
Yeah,
Look,
they recut it.
Right.
But
Awesome.
unfortunately, Amanda, your fears apparently are well justified.
Oh, Amanda, we're
so
sorry.
Fingers crossed that this project stays on hiatus and never sees the light of day. So that's
everything has to be an alien now. Why? They're mutants. My God, come on. This is an environmental issue. Okay, little tiny turtles wandering around. Doesn't anybody remember the opening to the cartoon?
No.
They
No,
just
I
had
get
stuff
it.
spilled on them.
the ooze that gets them. I remember in the comics there was in the comics a suggestion that the ooze that turns them into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was
ooze.
alien based, and that's fine. I get that. That makes sense. But what they're talking about in this thing is that no, these guys are actually from another planet,
And then
and
we're
that's
gonna
like
have
to
to-
me no good.
We're
no
gonna have to
good.
put up with a whole bunch of other alien turtles.
I know, that sounds awesome.
They're gonna
An
they're gonna
army
bring-
of alien
Come
ninjas.
Space
on.
Turtles.
We're gonna have to deal
I
with
want to
like
see it. If it's
Shemp
called Space
Turtle.
Turtles, I want to see it.
All right, let's move on to
Curly
the next
turtle.
question.
Right.
What else? What do we got,
Shemp Turtle.
Candid?
Ninja and turtle is enough. We don't need alien Ninja Turtle. Our next email is from James N. He says, I was thinking about who could be cast as Batman in the reboot and Justice League. Armie Hammer was originally cast in the George Miller Justice League
Yes, he was.
project from a few years
Love
ago.
that.
In hindsight, that wasn't a bad choice for the role. What do you think of going with him for the new Justice League project as Batman and for the rebooted solo films? Plus, he's more well-known now, but not a mega name, which could be, fly, a fit. Sorry. It's attacking me over
They're
here.
really big fly.
Could
Really
be
big
a
and
fit
juicy.
following Bale.
Look, I've said before, I think Armie Hammer is a tremendous talent. I think he would make a great. Not only would he be a good Batman, he would be a great Bruce Wayne. I think if you're going younger.
Sure.
Or baking soda. What if he was just like, they're making Monopoly the movie. They should just make Arm & Hammer starring Armie Hammer. And he's just like in a weird baking soda outfit. He's
And
like,
he has-
I shall destroy you.
No, he's wearing the white cut-off shirt, and he's got the earring.
See, I remember
Right?
Perfect.
the thing with the George Miller Justice League was the very first time I had ever heard the name Armie Hammer saying, they've cast some guy named Armie Hammer to be Batman. I'm like, what kind of stupid name is Armie Hammer?
Right.
Now, of course, he's an actor I really respect and like, but I remember at the time I was like, wait, he made that name up. That can't be real.
I just
Probably very angry at his parents. Yes, that's my name. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Thanks, love you. Especially Army with an IE. It
Right.
makes it so cute. And
Instead
I
of
just
Army, like, I'm part of the military.
exactly, yeah, like I'm a badass. It's like, no, I'm adorable. I'm precious.
And I'm
And
a hammer.
I just watched on an airplane Mirror Mirror because I want it was.
How was he in that?
Well, it
Because I
seemed-
skipped it, I'll be honest. I
It
skipped that
seemed
one.
like watching it in a confined space was the only way that I would ever sit in
Which
front
one
of
is
it.
Mirror Mirror? Is that the other?
Julia Roberts.
Yeah, it's the other Snow
Oh,
White
right.
one.
That's the Jazzback, or what's his name? Tazmal.
Oh,
Skimzal.
Oh, yeah.
The guy made the cell.
The
Yeah,
guy
the
who
cell.
made Immortals, yeah.
oh my God,
Oh, Immortals. Whew.
I can't remember.
Tarsem.
Singh.
Thank you, Dennis.
I love that name, and I
Tarsem.
couldn't remember it.
Tarsem.
Sgalzim.
Exactly.
Yes,
And
get Balzac.
We're back- we're back to
amazing
Jor-El
shots. He
talking.
does amazing shots.
He-
And then
no, he
everything
does.
falls-
He's
everything falls
beautiful.
apart.
I would
Beautiful
hire
movies.
him as my DP any day.
Well, and that's the thing about Mirror Mirror. Gorgeous movie, but weird when Tarsem does comedy
Like,
because Armie Hammer was it looked like he was just drowning and desperately trying to stay afloat.
Was
and
anything about that movie good? Because even the
No.
trailer, I was like, this looks unbelievably horrible.
It is
Like,
actually
it's one of the worst
terrible.
trailers
the
I'd ever
worst-
seen.
I mean, I love Time Bandits, but then this was like, hey, let's take a bunch of tiny people and do
Right.
really bad 1930s humor with them.
No, this was really
like we went backwards in time.
This was like, Tarsem, how dare you disrespect Phil Collins? He brought us Susudio, and now now his daughter's in this film. And so, but Armie Hammer was as good as possible, and I think that J. Edgar is another movie that wasn't fantastic that he was great in. He was really good in that film, and so I think him as Batman, I think he could do what Bale did, which is pull off both.
And
roles,
he does
like you
not
said,
get.
John.
I think Andrew Garfield and Armie Hammer are the absolute main, far beyond Justin Timberlake and far beyond anybody else in the film, are the reason The Social Network worked. They gave that film heart
Oh,
and
God.
humanity, as opposed to
Winklevoss,
these.
dude.
Yeah, I
Whoa.
mean, it was. I
Twice
thought
the
they did
Armie
great.
Hammer. Let's make Batman twins.
Right.
Done.
Composite Batman. He's like rainbow outfit, like from Superman Lives. I'm Batman as well. What? I'm from an alien race, like with other turtles. Like, bring that in.
And then Nicolas Cage shows up in a rainbow robot suit.
Perfect film.
Oh my God.
Carrying the head of Tim Burton. What are you guys doing?
Let's go pitch that.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Wait,
What else
George
do we
Miller,
got?
Can we just say we didn't mention George Miller enough? That he actually was directing Justice League, so I don't think he's in. Like he's doing the new Road Warrior movie with Tom
Yes,
Hardy.
That's
yes,
right.
but
Which
that's gonna be long
I'm so
done.
excited about that.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he does 2 more of those, and I hope he doesn't do anything with Happy Feet
Oh, I know.
or
I know.
Justice League. I think he should just do more Road Warriors.
Wasn't Happy
I'm
Feet
with you.
2 where Will and Bill the Krill?
Yes.
See, that was an amazing part of that film. So George Miller, thank you for making shrimp not only delicious but make me think.
I boycotted it simply because he made that. I was like, I won't see it.
Stop stealing my thunder. Just by the way, the fly is huge. It
is
just landed
huge.
on my microphone.
know.
It's like this
And
big.
it's brilliant green, like that weird.
It's
kind
on the
of
screen
fluorescent
right
green.
now. It's
Gonna
massive.
take a chunk out of one of us before this is over.
Okay, our next mail is from the UK, from Sam in London. He says, I hear Thor director Kenneth Branagh is set to direct and star as Jack Ryan in a reboot. Would like to know what you guys think of this. I honestly think the Jack Ryan character should be put to rest. P.S. Can't be a You're a Legend.
Oh, I Am Legend.
Ooh.
First of all, Kenneth Branagh is directing a Jack Ryan film, but he is not Jack Ryan in it. Jack Ryan is actually Chris Pine, who is, of course, Captain Kirk in the new Star Trek movie. So he's Jack Ryan. Kenneth Branagh is going to be in the film, but he's not actually playing Jack Ryan. I'll watch 1,000 Jack Ryan movies. I think it's like Bond. I've loved I even like the Ben Affleck Jack Ryan movie. I even thought that was watchable. I've liked all of them. I mean, from Alec Baldwin, Harrison Ford, Ben Affleck, Jack Ryan, all day. Give them to me. And with Kenneth Branagh directing, hell yeah,
Classy.
sign me up. Sign me up.
Classy.
I love it.
Great. I mean, I like the Bourne Identity movies way better than the Jack Ryan stuff.
Really, more you like the Bourne Identity more than like Hunt for Red October or Clear and Present Danger or
Because
Patriot
I
Games?
can actually remember the Bourne movies, and I can't remember anything about those films, and I saw them.
Interesting.
They're just like I know the title. I remember like if I really think about it, oh yeah, there's a submarine in that one. It's like it'll just like it washes away with a bunch of other movies that didn't hit me.
Wow.
4 words, dude.
I like 'em
Sean
both.
Connery down under. 3 more words. Sign me up.
Love it. All right, what else do we got?
All right, our next one is from Sharon. I think we've gotten a mail from this person before. Good to hear from you again. I thought of an idea for a superhero type movie. Everyone tells the story from the hero's point of view. Why not start a trilogy of films with the villain of why he or her became this way, and they destroying and killing, and maybe the third film introduce the hero who takes them down and start their own trilogy of films. What do you guys
Interesting.
think of this idea?
I believe that was called the Star Wars prequels, or the Scorpion King,
Or Nemesis in the comic books.
Well, we know how well the Star Wars.
What's the one that was
prequels
just
worked
out? The point of view, the first person found
the
footage.
Chronicle?
Chronicle was also called.
Which I loved,
The one with the
Chronicle.
minions.
Chronicle was great.
I love Chronicle. But the film with the minions, Despicable Me,
Megamind to an extent.
Megamind to an extent. But here's the problem: you can't start a franchise from the villain's point of view because people won't see it.
You think?
I think if you've
What if
got,
they're delightfully
but here's the thing: if you get a
mean?
great, like let's take like a Darth Vader, right? Great the best villain of all time. All right, that's great. But if you started Star Wars with Darth Vader, you hadn't established him first. You hadn't set him up as who he is and what he was for people to love him. You can't put the chicken before the egg.
You know what?
That sort of
You're
thing.
going to see that in that movie Nemesis that Joe Carnahan is directing.
Right.
It's
That's
basically
true. Yeah.
it's the villain. It's the villain is the main character, and he's like picks a city from a different country to mess with like a Chief Gordon, like a cop.
Right.
He'll be like, I'm gonna screw you up. I'm gonna mess your entire city up, and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
Love it.
And it's all from that perspective.
And Joe Carnahan is a genius.
I think that's going to be quite an exciting film that's right in that same zone that the question
Yeah.
was about.
So
All
Joe
right.
Carnahan says you can do that.
You can
and,
indeed.
so
Suck on that, can't you?
hey, legend. Ah.
All right, what else do we got? Legend. Yeah, that's right. I'm a legend.
Talking
He's
about
a
that
legend.
Tom Cruise movie, Legend?
Stealing my
Yeah,
thunder
fancy
again.
underpants.
Right, like
No, the Will
dancing
Smith
with a
movie,
weird
I
black
Am
corset, crazy outfit. Tim Curry, Super Demon.
It's my turn yet?
Guys, you've seen
Yes,
Legend.
go ahead. What do we got?
All right, our next mail is from Craig M. I know most Oscar-type films haven't started coming out yet,
Except
but
Beast of the Southern Wild.
if the Oscars were tomorrow and FYC was in charge of them, which 3 movies of 2012 that have come out already would be nominated for Best Picture and what would win? He also says would love an audio version of the show so I could listen to it on my commute, so go to iTunes.
Oh, Craig, and well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. If you check in the show, there is an audio-only version of the show that we put up. If you check the show notes on the YouTube videos or on our AMC Movie News page, we do have a link to the individual audio files you can download, but there's also a link there you can use to subscribe in iTunes to the audio-only thing if you want to listen to it.
Nice. You thought of everything, Mr. Legend.
We've got everything. So let's start with you, John. What would be if we were, for your consideration, was in charge of the Oscars right now? Oscars were tomorrow. You got to come up with 3 nominees for Best Picture from 2012 from what we've seen so far. What are those 3 films?
All right. Avengers
Of course.
Right.
wins also.
Okay, so there's the winner.
It also wins. And screenplay, directing.
Way to build up
and
suspense.
Best movie. I know. It would just be like, all the other movies are not going to be, Avengers. So I would then go with Moonrise Kingdom, which
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
loved that film.
I did too.
And I saw another movie right before it, and we saw that just to wash the other movie away. We were going to see Moonrise Kingdom. We were like, let's see this other one. Then it was so bad. I was like, let's just do a double movie, and then that was incredible. And then here's a weird one, Arrietty.
Really? You like
Arrietty?
I loved that film so much. It's like, and to be fair, I haven't seen a lot of the like Beast of the
Southern Wild.
and I have to see that. Everyone's been telling me to see it. So there's a few films that I haven't seen yet that might push Arrietty out. But I love that film, and it's one of the best animated films that I saw this year, and it was just incredibly a great adventure.
Really
So,
a beautiful, beautiful movie. And it was nice, much like the Winnie the Pooh movie last year, really nice to see that beautiful hand-drawn animation,
Totally.
2D. Like it just evoked something in me that no movies really do
I don't
anymore.
know if I'd put it in the same category as Winnie the Pooh.
What is?
Great.
I mean, to be fair,
say your 3.
one that I would add to that, because I actually, you actually have taken 2 of my choices, because I also have gone on the show about Moonrise Kingdom and the Avengers, but I was knocked down by how great Paranorman was. Holy Moses, loved that film after such a crappy trailer.
I know.
That wasn't even on my radar. I watched the film. I thought that it was so well written, and it was a horror movie that was
And scary.
genuinely scary.
I mean, is it PG-13?
Yes.
Because it was literally like, I was like,
Actually-
I'm getting shocked. I'm like,
Actually,
if
it's
little kids see this, they're going to be freaking out in a good way. It's a good, scary movie.
it's PG.
Wow.
And it's so shocking. It's so low rated.
The witch at the end, just some of the effects with her in the clouds.
And that's the
It's in my
thing.
top 10 for sure. I just saw it 2 days ago. I was like, I couldn't believe, I love the animation style too. It's original, claymation, puppets. It's just like
Same.
no 3 CG. So.
Same people that did Coraline, which I
Yes.
also loved. However, I think it's like Paranorman was just even more fantastic on every level. And that animation was breathtaking. It's some of the most stunning stuff I've ever seen. I was just in awe of it the whole time. And when it ended, plus the little kid has an alarm clock that's a skeleton
I
hands.
want that. That's what I want that.
I
Please
want
make
it
a
too.
real version so an adult man can buy that. Can you please make that?
Such a delightful film.
I'm going to go. I'm not going to put Moonrise Kingdom on my list. I didn't like that nearly as much as you
Right,
guys
that's
did.
where you're wrong.
I know.
Continue.
I'm gonna. My 3 are going to be Chronicle, I was
It's a
floored
great
by
movie.
that. So sick and tired of found footage movies, and I walked in and watched Chronicle and was like, this just it blew all my expectations
Breathtaking.
away.
It was great.
Loved that film so much. The character development in it was so beautifully done.
Superman Lex Luthor the way it should have been done.
Yeah.
Literally, that's
Yeah.
what it was, and it was a fantastic superhero film.
So good, and I still can't believe how many people have not seen it. It's on Netflix now.
Can you
so
please see Chronicle?
yeah.
What's wrong with you?
See Chronicle.
We're
The,
judging you.
the other one
Serious
I would
judging.
put on there is The Gray.
Yep.
I was
Me.
Yeah,
I love
was-
that film.
Yeah, no, I'm being attacked. I was floored by that film. Like it's so good to me, and I was so the experience was so
this
amazing.
fly is so
This fly will not
scary.
go away.
I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. Wow, he's like
He's so green.
He's majestic like
Yeah.
an eagle.
the ultra
The idea, though, is that I mean, the experience was so freaky. As it keeps trying to lay in my hair, was so freaky. I can't watch it again. Like that's how much it impacted me. I cannot watch The Gray again because it splits my face in
It
half
is kind of a
when I watch it.
one-time watching
It is
film.
Oh, my God.
unbelievable sound design. And but spoiler alert, pause, fast forward if you haven't seen this fantastic movie yet. But ready? Liam Neeson breaking bottles, putting them in his fingers. I cheered. I just went, Liam
That was in the
Neeson.
trailer.
Oh my
he's,
god.
like, standing
Okay,
there.
good. Well, if you didn't fast forward, then you're fine. But
But the best movie of the year.
take that, wolves.
I know, right? As they eat me. Spoiler. Sorry.
The best movie of the year is The Avengers. It's
Done.
it's the best movie of the year. And you know, I'm going to be I'm going to be outraged if it doesn't get nominated for Best Picture.
I
It
am
won't be.
too.
It probably won't. Nope.
No, I mean, well, you know, they have the Oscars now are like, we're all old and outdated. We better open it up to 10 movies now. Remember they like 12
Yeah,
movies?
they're not doing that anymore.
Oh, they're
but-
not good. Well, then, unfortunately, Avengers won't be nominated. But I saw that as like, that was like a weird, like, let's just throw a bunch of other movies in here. Because it's all, you know what's going to be nominated already. It's kind of a gimme.
The problem with the Oscars and the reason that nobody watches them anymore is because
Now hold on, back up just a second. Aside from the Super Bowl, there is no single event that is higher watched or has higher ratings than the Oscars every year still.
okay, here's how I'll amend that statement. You have given me an important fact. However, I will say the reason that the Oscars doesn't live in people's hearts anymore as like an event.
It doesn't
A lot of
mind.
people-
It's still my second favorite day of the year besides Christmas.
I love it. I make a cherry blueberry pie every year in honor of it, and we call it Oscar pie, and we eat it, and it's delicious. But what happens is, before America hasn't seen the movies. They release these movies for a week on the coast.
Yeah, they gotta change
and
the
there
system.
are so darn many of them now that nobody knew what the artist was. How could you care about an award ceremony that's giving awards to movies you don't even know what they are?
Right,
Boo.
so we're going to see The Master. I can't wait to see that. We're going to
Yes.
see Compliance. There's a whole bunch of movies that are just not released yet that are going to be on the Oscar.
Right.
That I
Yes.
think will be on the Oscar.
Yes.
No, you're absolutely right.
We have the whole holiday ahead of us.
And look, if 6 other films come out this year that I think these are better films than the Avengers, that makes this year one hell of a great year.
True.
Plus, unfortunately, the Oscars always like forgets about the movies that come out at the beginning of the year.
Right.
There's always these amazing films. They're like, why isn't that nominated? Because the 65-year-old person nominating it can't remember the movies that they saw 5 months ago.
Try 87-year-old
I'm
person.
just saying, it's like because they get screeners, so they're
Yeah.
fully pumped with like, here's these 40 movies that are coming out right now. All right,
Right.
I can't remember all the other ones.
All right. Well, listen, we have gone really over time, but
Oh.
we are still going to take 3 questions from the
Okay.
chat board. Sorry, chat board. We got rolling.
The
but
chat
we'll
board's
take
a
3
little
questions.
angry that you guys didn't throw in Dark Knight Rises.
It's not
one of the best films of the
Nah,
year.
I'm sorry, chat
It's just-
room.
There's just
Sorry,
too many
chat
problems
room,
with it.
You
you're
had-
completely wrong.
You had me with Brad Bird, and you
Right.
lost me with that.
Bane dying like a punk. Let me just go through a few things about Dark Knight Rises. No, I'm just not.
It's a
We'll
good.
skip it.
It's
Catwoman was amazing.
I'd say
You know,
it's a 4 out of 5
let me throw this
star,
out there.
but-
I think a lot of the love that The Dark Knight Rises get is simply inertia from the love of The Dark Knight.
I know. And
Like, people are supposed to love Dark Knight
That's-
Rises because Dark Knight was so amazingly good. I mean, look, unlike you, I did like Dark
I
Knight Rises.
enjoyed it.
But I was also disappointed with it. I mean, I liked it. I saw it 3 times in this theater. But it was just good.
I saw it once, and I think I'm going to stick to the one-time screening. I might force myself to see it in IMAX before it leaves.
You should. It's gorgeous.
But
Yeah, it is beautiful.
it was just
Really
so
gorgeous.
disappointing to me. So-
Anyway, sorry,
I'm
what
in
does the
the
chat board want to talk about besides our lack of serious love for The Dark Knight Rises?
This flies.
All right. So one of the first questions, I have no idea what he's talking about, but from JCSC says, I'll get a question in early knowing that John is a fan of the films Stardust and Coraline.
Yep.
What are
Stardust
his
is awesome.
thoughts on the
Yeah.
on other adaptations of Neil Gaiman's work, and why do they seem to have made little ground in development in quite some time?
Because they're weird, and people don't want to take
And
a chance.
as great, I call Stardust the single. I did a list of this a little while ago. My number one on my list of 10, number one underappreciated, underrated film of the last decade. It is the new Princess Bride.
I agree. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I love that
It is good.
film so much. But the reality is, it didn't make money.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult for a studio to make an argument to a studio, you should make this, and go, we lose money when we do that. I mean, I get it, but it's so unfortunate. I wish more people had seen Stardust when it was
You
in
know what
theater.
won't lose money is The Sandman.
True.
If they just start rocking it, there's like 75 issues that you like, hey, just use those as a script. I mean, that's the thing sometimes to me when there's an amazingly well-written comic book and people are like, we're going to have to rewrite it. It's like, just use the comic. Just take out the thought balloons and use the dialogue. It's real simple.
Take out the thought
Idiots.
balloons.
I mean, that's one thing. Like, Zack Snyder really nailed Watchmen for the most part because he was really faithful to not only Alan Moore's script, even though Alan Moore didn't have his name on it, but also to Dave Gibbons' drawings. I mean, it was basically like shot for shot that comic book, except for the squid thing. So,
But
we talked about that. It couldn't include that because at the artist colony,
Yeah.
you had to have like 4 hours of extra stuff to have a squid out. So.
And most importantly, Dr. Manhattan was exactly the same.
Whoa! That's right.
I
Blue
said it.
dong. Ding dong.
What else do we got, Camden?
Another question. I know you mentioned Chris Pine earlier. Victor Garrity says, what do you think of Chris Pine being either the new Green Lantern or the Flash?
No, let's not make him the new Green Lantern. Let's
No,
make him the
yeah.
Flash.
I like
I'm
the
fine with that
Flash kind of
idea.
works with me. You know what? I thought he was. I thought Pine was good in Star Trek. I thought he was quite good in Star Trek.
Yeah.
But I loved him in Unstoppable. I don't know what it was, but his performance in Unstoppable just had me. I thought he was great in it. And he held his own acting alongside of Denzel Washington. I could see him as a Flash.
You said,
yeah.
I don't think so. I think
Really?
I think he's great as Captain Kirk. I think there's a lot of other actors. Sometimes it kind of bugs me when it's like, hey, look, Jeremy Renner's awesome, but does he have to be the Newborn and Mission Impossible and Avengers? Aren't there other actors?
Right.
So
Yeah.
sometimes studios are just like, oh, let's like they pushed off putting out that Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters because they're like, no one knows who Jeremy Renner is. Yeah,
Right.
so let's push it off for a year and then glom onto the Hawkeye,
Momentum.
which I understand, but let's get some other actors. There's like thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of actors who are
Within a 2-mile radius of this
right
studio.
here in California alone. So I mean,
Yeah.
let's get some other people in there. Like, all right, he's already Captain Kirk and he's Jack Ryan. Let him rock on that, and then do a bunch of independent movies. He doesn't need to be, and neither do a lot of these other guys. Like, I'm just saying, let's spread it out a little
that's right. I know plenty of them run super fast, too.
bit. Yeah, really fast.
What's our last one?
All right, last one. Thank you, chat roll, again for being so awesome and
You
for all your
rock.
questions. Last question from Movies and Games says, with the Avengers and Justice League directly competing in 2015, which will do better and why?
Oh, dear.
Oh, that's not a question. It's going to be the Avengers too. I mean, you have a lot of look with Avengers. You got a successful film franchise in Thor, successful film franchise in Iron Man, successful film franchise in Captain America, and you have an unbelievable first film with the
Right.
Avengers.
Momentum.
With DC, okay, you're going to have a little bit of roll of the dice. You got a new Superman and Man of Steel, which I think looks great, but it's new. You're
So
gonna have
hot,
a new,
by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Henry Cavill. I was just like,
Right. God save the
just-
queen.
Yeah.
No, let's hear. I think the chat board would like to hear more about what you'd like to do to Henry Cavill. So don't by all means.
Many
Begin
things.
describing how you would unrobe
dear.
him.
Oh, dear.
As long as he wears the Superman costume. That's a must.
That
But
takes
you're gonna
4
have
people to take off. That's what I heard.
You're damn right it
The
does.
The 4 of us. Let's
you're
do
going to
it.
have a new Batman. You've got a character in Wonder Woman that nobody's wanted to make the movie. You've got a questionable in its popularity character with Green Lantern. You've got, look, Justice League 2 may do better than the Avengers 2, maybe. But as far as Justice League 1 going up against Avengers 2, it's going to be Avengers 2. That doesn't mean Justice League, though, first one isn't going to make a lot of money, but I don't think it'll come
It
close
would
to
be really
Avengers.
weird if they did Justice League, but they're like, yeah, but it's sort of like we're doing Justice League International where we have Metamorpho and all these like super bizarro characters that Superman and Batman aren't even in it. It's Martian Manhunter. Like where you're like, what's going on?
Wow.
That would be
And
crazy.
Guy
Tim Burton
Gardner.
directed it.
That'd be incredible.
Well, listen, folks, that will do it for us. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Remember, folks, if you are watching us on YouTube or on iTunes or whatever, or on your television, on your Apple TV, you can watch us live on Mondays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at ustream.tv/channel/AMC-theater. We'll have the link below for you to see that. And by all means, folks, listen, subscribe to AMC Theater's YouTube channel, because when you do, not only will you stay abreast of all the for your considerations, but you'll also get a lot of our celebrity interviews. You'll get all of our news updates. You'll be up to date on everything. Trust me, you want to follow us at youtube.com/AMC Theaters. Listen, folks, don't forget, you can get your movie tickets, theater, and showtime information 24/7 by visiting us at www.amctheaters.com. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And as I mentioned, make sure you follow us on our YouTube page. So listen, I want to thank so much the CNN film critic, the Rotten Tomatoes senior editor, Gray Drake. Gray, thanks so much for being here. I want to thank John. John, you bring so much to the show. I'm so glad you've started coming to these. Thank you so much. Thank you for being had. And we want to thank Camden at the back there.
Ooh, I'm sandwiched between two Johns. I just realized that.
That's right.
Anyway, yes. Yes.
Dennis Zen over on the side, who runs this whole thing that you cannot see in the show.
And thank you to the Fly, our mascot for today.
Yeah,
a couple of the viewers said, I just saw the Fly.
Right. He's thick and juicy, iridescent, and will be controlling us. He's going to crawl inside our mouths.
The perfect ending to the show would be someone smashing the Fly into the camera, like having it splatter and the screen go.
What about gingerly freeing it and not murdering it?
No, I'm all about murdering the bugs.
And thank you, folks, again for joining us. My name is John Campion. Join us again on what day is it today?
It's Thursday.
Join us again on Monday.
30th of August.
Kill me.
We'll see you later, and
Kill
until
me.
next time, bye-bye.
Stop talking. Help me.